Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, lax rats alike, welcome back to another episode of the Crease Dive. Today is Friday, July 29th. We've got another weekend of PLL action coming our way. The boys are heading down to Jerry World in Dallas. I'm Jordy from Barstool. With me, as always, we've got Dukes on the mic. Dukes coming down here pretty much like the final stretch. We've got 4 more games left here for teams to kind of slot themselves into playoff seeds. So how are we feeling after a pretty big weekend for Fairfield?
Jordy, what is this week 8 now? And, I feel great, comfortable with my preseason predictions. Week by week, everything changes. Maybe I might not be the best week by week guy in the PLL, but man, my predictions are looking great. How about your Cannons prediction? How are you feeling about that now?
I mean, technically, listen, here's the thing. The Cannons, sure. Do they look like absolute dog shit at the moment? Yeah. I mean, have they lost 5 straight ever since winning in that week 1 matchup against the Water Dogs? Sure. But I mean, this league. I mean, they're 7 teams get into the playoffs. So technically they're still in the hunt. So don't even talk to me about the Cannons being dead. They could still get into the playoffs. And then once you get into the playoffs, anything can happen.
Did you see just speaking of the Cannons, they had a roster overhaul, I believe, yesterday. So they released Tyson Bell, Shane Jackson, Christian Cuccinello. Brody Merrill went to the injured list, and they added Chris Eslanian and Andrew Newbold, Mark Cockerton, and Alex Smith. Eslanian, I like the pickups by them, but I think a lot of people were surprised to see Tyson Bell going from, being released by the Cannons. But what happened was he went to the Major Series Lacrosse, and you're not allowed to play in both leagues. It's a Canadian box league, I believe, right? The MSL.
Yeah. So it's like guys who play for like the Man Cup.
Yeah. And so Tyson Bell was trying to play in both. I think Dan might have called him out on it. And Tyson Bell was like, "You snitch," but I kind of like the way that Tyson Bell responded. Like it was like Cannons Lacrosse Club were like, "We have released Tyson Bell," and Tyson Bell retweets it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like it's like a lot of those guys, like they just, I mean, like you think about guys who probably could be playing right now PLL, like you look at like a Miles, and you look at guys like Tyson Bell and like a Bomberry type of guy. Like, I mean, all those guys, like they grow up playing together, like they grow up dreaming about winning Minto Cups together, dreaming about winning Man Cups together. And then what? Like you send them around like week by week to a different town only to get fucking shit pumped because they're playing for the dog shit Cannons. Like, yeah, if I were Tyson Bell, realistically, like I'd probably be like, okay, like let me just like
get picked up
hang
by
out.
the Chaos again next year.
Yeah, I'll get picked up by the Chaos next year. Let me like go hang out, play with my boys, and like do like what I'm like significantly better at, a much better box player than a field player. I will say though, like I think it probably works out best for the Cannons. Like they need a roster overhaul. They suck. I mean, you can't be 1-5. Like that's what blows my mind right now about the Chaos. Now, granted, like, yeah, like they had like a mini roster overhaul when they brought back all their guys from the Bandits, but like just this past weekend, so I was in Buffalo for the Chicklets Cup, so I didn't really get a chance to watch most of the games in Fairfield. Saturday we were playing in the Chicklets Cup all day, and then the Sunday games I was traveling back from Buffalo to Philly, so I didn't get a chance to watch much. Like I caught a good amount of Cannons archers while I was waiting in the Buffalo airport. But the reason I bring that up, while I was in Buffalo, I got a chance to run into our good pal, good friend of the program, Tahoga Nanakoke. And it just like blows my mind that he's not playing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just like it is so mind boggling that he's not out there. And yeah, like part of me gets it. It's like, okay, like the Chaos won a championship last year. Like, sure, like maybe like they're like, we don't want to mess with a good thing. It's not a good thing. You guys fucking suck. You're 1-5 on the year. And granted, like you haven't had your entire roster, but it's like those guys have all been playing together all year long. During the All-Star break, they all played together, or at least most of them did, with Team Canada at the World Sixes. And it's like, you guys still can't figure it out. So I don't understand why a guy like, you want to talk about roster overhauls and like bringing in like big pieces to maybe make a difference. I don't quite understand why he's not there. But it was nice to run into Dahoga. So we'll have to get him on the podcast again soon.
Let me just see what the first game of the week. But like we were talking about right when they got the roster back, and I was saying like they kind of needed to pick up. Like I felt like before the Bandits came back, they needed to pick up one win. I mean, because then you look at that slate, they had the Water Dogs, which I think that some people thought that they'd come back firing, a little pissed off at like the Dylan Ward winning the NL championship. They could win that one. Got absolutely slaughtered. They beat the Cannons, who suck. But then you run into the Whipsnakes, and then you see the rest of the schedule. It's like, man, like the Chaos. Let's look at the Chaos's rest of the schedule. I
think they got.
So they got the Redwoods. I mean, like you want to stamp
playing good.
You want to stamp a must win on this one because you got Redwoods, Chrome, Archers, Atlas to close out the year.
Yeah, and like not having a game against the Cannons is like
exactly
pretty big because like you have that game against the Cannons. Okay, like maybe you get that, you get that win and then you can kind of separate yourselves. But like right now, they both suck. So like I don't know. Really, what this all comes down to is that we shouldn't be talking about the Cannons or the Chaos right now having any chance of like playing themselves into a playoff position. Like both of these teams are terrible. They're like, I don't know. That's another thing that I still think like the league needs to kind of figure out. Like you can't, I get like, okay, like you want to be able to sell a quarterfinal and a semifinal and a championship. Like I get that, but like, dude, there are 8 teams in the league. Like you can't have 7 of them make the playoffs. Like it's like, sure. All right. So they're both sitting at 1-5. There are 4 weeks left. Theoretically, yes. Like, could they go win out and themselves at 5-5? And then like, like there have been NFL teams that have made the playoffs at under 500. So it's like not that unheard of, but still like, I don't know. Cause the thing that I hate the most, which I know is going to happen, the Chaos suck, but they're not going to suck as hard as the Cannons. They're going to get themselves into the playoffs. They're going to be that 7 seed. And then they're going to start to get all pissed off at us when we're like, you guys suck. Like no one's picking you. It's the same thing that they do every year. And then it's like, well, fuck you guys. Like you didn't pick us. And it's like, no, you guys are so bad at this. Like you're dog shit. Like, yeah, did you just win a championship last year? Sure. Whatever. But like you guys sucked all year. Like don't get pissed off at us because you're dog shit.
So I agree with that sentiment this year. But I'm trying to look at like the 2021-20 standings and just like years past. I feel like the difference between 1st and 7th place wasn't that drastic. So you would like look at it and be like, all right, like I kind of see why you'd have 7 teams in. Like the difference, the margin of error is like very small. But yeah, this year it's like, what are we going to let in? Like a 2 and an 8 team? Like it just looks ridiculous. It looks preposterous on ESPN too. Yeah,
I think that like, there's a good chance.
And then the 2 and 8, and then the 2 and 8 team wins it all.
Yeah. Which is like just ridiculous.
But I'd like just going off like the Chaos, like so I went to Fairfield. If I was a PLL city hosting a weekend, I would just take notes from what the Fairfield did. Like it was packed day 1 and day 2. Like they say sold out, and a lot of people online are like, oh, was it really sold out? Jordy, sold out, not a seat that you could sit in. Like if there was an open seat on one side of the bleachers, it was because people were at the beer concessions. It was because people were sitting in the grass. I didn't even sit on the field or anything. I just went with my buddies, 2 kids who don't play lacrosse at all. And they were like I showed them the Atlas Redwoods game, and it was probably the best regular season PLL game I've watched in a while. And like having them watch that, they were like, I'm all in on the PLL. They were like, let's go back tomorrow. Like it was as good of a weekend as you could have. As a Long Island guy, I'm questioning, is Fairfield the capital of pro lacrosse? Like I hyped up Albany. I was blown away by Fairfield, especially because usually I feel like attendance dips day 2. Attendance was packed both days. Very, very impressed. But I went out on Saturday night, as I've been known to do in my time. And I ran into some players, some good players, won't name names or anything, but I ran into the Chaos guys. They're celebrating getting their championship rings. And my memory's a little hazy, but I'm fairly certain that I was like, you guys are so good. I swear to God, if you guys start saying that like people are doubting you, I was like, nobody's doubting you. Like I have like a very fuzzy memory of me being like, nobody doubts you guys. Like just get into the playoffs, you guys will probably win it all.
Well, yeah, but it's like,
No, but you know what? I'm like, I was like a little tipsy, and I was like, they're like, yeah, we'll bounce back, we'll bounce back. I was like, yeah, but like if I talk shit about you guys, like, don't blame me.
yeah, like that's what it is. It's like I don't think anyone is like that. The Chaos are bad. It just they're playing like dog shit.
Yeah.
They're not dog shit, but they're playing like dog shit. Yeah, I mean, I really do. I wish that I got a chance to like really like see all the games this weekend. It was just a little too busy to watch them. But I mean, it makes it like Connecticut. They are just like lax, right? Like I feel like Connecticut is much similar to much more similar to Baltimore than it would be to like a Long Island or a Philly, where it's like just pure lax rats. Like you've kind of said in the past, where it's like Long Island are a bunch of guys who are really good at lacrosse, but it's not like they'll like football more than lacrosse or shit like that. Like
yeah, exactly.
So they're just good at lacrosse. It's not like they like are like just like crazy about it. I feel like Connecticut has like those lax rats, like just people who are just like this is the number one thing in my life. Like PLL's coming here. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go. Like they have like their outfit picked out for weeks in advance.
I made a TikTok at there where I was like, this is the whitest thing you could ever see. It was like we're in Fairfield County, Connecticut, for like a professional lacrosse game, and there's like a 10-year-old kid wearing like a Vineyard Vines hat. And it was funny's funny. And it kind of like popped off on TikTok. And then I just start getting the comments, and they're like, this isn't a white person's game. You stole the game from the Native Americans. And I was like, all right, come on, guys. It's not that serious. There's a 10-year-old wearing a Vineyard Vines hat. Like, how white at a lacrosse game? Like, how white is that?
Oh, dude, like I would love to like just walk through the parking lot of the tailgate before those games, and it's just like Range Rover, Audi, Range Rover, Tesla, Range Rover, like
it was ridiculous.
All right, but yeah, I mean, shout out to Fairfield. I mean, from everything that I've heard, it sounds like everyone is kind of on the same page of like that needs to be like a lockdown year, like an annual spot for the PLL. So that, I mean,
dare I say championship weekend?
Dare you say it? And I think that that's actually probably going to be like a good way for, because eventually you have to imagine that the league is going to eventually go to a city-based model.
They'll definitely get a team.
Like it can't be tour-based forever. Like you're going to start to lose guys if you do that. Like give people like a home base to go. But like I think as we keep going along, like you're going to see more and more places get hit with a stop. Like, you know, so like Philly's going to get a stop every year. Baltimore is always going to get a stop every year. Long Island's always going to get a stop every year. Like I think like Fairfield, you give them a stop every year, and then it just like naturally transitions. Like, okay, Fairfield, you have a team.
Yeah, no, I think that Connecticut. I was saying this like also just in general with like Philly, Long Island. Like if you did I think it's pretty set in stone that eventually they'll go back to the city-based model. You're telling me that you give like Long Island, you have Fairfield, you have Philly, like 8 Friday night games, because we were talking about before the show, like the Saturday midday games are just tough for people just to like put their eyes on in the middle of the summer when you're at the shore, when you're in the Hamptons, when you're trying to do free activities, when it's nice weather out. So I personally believe like what's the best ways to get eyes on the sport? A Friday night game, especially if it's like on Long Island, eight home games in the summer, like that will get people to be like, all right, I'll go to like 5 games this year. You know, you don't have to really like waste a Saturday or Sunday. My biggest proposal, I would love a Monday night game on ESPN. Make it like this summer thing, like a Monday night lacrosse game. Get like Ryan Boyle on the call, like, or maybe even like 2 Monday night games like they've been doing. Like that's where I think you get a lot of eyes on, and you could like maybe transfer like.
Dukes, that brain of yours, that's
you like that
one. That's a good idea. I mean, it's not like a revolutionary, like obviously it's like we're stealing from just football, but like yeah, like give me
it works.
It works. Follow the money. It works. Yeah, no, I think that would definitely be a huge way to do it. Just as long as they don't just start doing like, again, it's going to take a while before lacrosse can be like, all right, we also have a Thursday night game, and now here's the money. It's like, all right, like
Friday nights and Monday nights are where you're going to make the money.
Yeah.
Getting eyes on the TV.
All right. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to be pretty interested in the turnout in Dallas this week. Although I guess, so what is it? I mean, it's Dallas adjacent, right? They're playing at the start Frisco. So I don't really know Dallas.
I'm going like this. So yeah. My theory, because my sister and her lacrosse fiance, boy or whatever, he was talking so the way that it was mapped out, because I have a family reunion this weekend, but I was originally thinking about going to this weekend where all the lacrosse players live. I mean, I'm sure they're going to go because it's the PLL stop and they don't mind driving to Dallas Stadium, but I think it's very far away from where all the lacrosse players and wealthier towns are located, which is South Dallas, I think, that she was explaining it. I could have my maps wrong, but I think
they'll probably make the trip over there, right? Yeah. It's
you'd hope so, right?
Yeah, you'd hope so.
That's what I'm saying. I think that would be a test. There would be a test for being how much does Dallas really like lacrosse? How much are they willing to travel? But I mean, I have high hopes because I think Dallas is one of those places that's somewhat exploding. And I've noticed a trend in Dallas having a hotbed of goalies. So
hotbed. Oh yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. So your boy Nunez.
Yeah. Right. And then you have Dan Morris. I just noticed that Dallas people just kind of just are always committed somewhere. They're you'll look at the top 3 goalies on very good programs. I guarantee one of those goalies is from Dallas.
Well, also the greatest lacrosse player in the world currently is from Dallas.
Yes, Charlotte North.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. All right. Was that a test?
Yeah. Making sure you weren't being sexist.
Dude, I have 3 sisters. Come on.
Guy loves women. 3 sisters. Scientifically proven. But yeah, so I mean, the league is heading into Jerry World this weekend, heading down to Dallas Cowboys practice facility, and it all gets going on Saturday at 2 p.m. The one and only game that'll be on ESPN this weekend. The rest will all be available streaming on ESPN Plus. So if you head on over to the Barstool Sportsbook, we've got the Atlas taking on the Archers. This is Saturday, 2 p.m. Archers right now favored on the spread, -1.5. We've got Atlas on the money line, +100. They're coming off of a tough loss against the Redwoods. Tell you what, Dukes, I mean, you've mentioned this before. You'll mention it again. But you want to beat the Atlas, the 2-bomb is going to be your answer. And we saw that last week with the Redwoods. But Atlas on the money line, +100. Archers at -127. Over under on this one set at 24.5. Archers laid a nice little beat down on my lowly Cannons last weekend. So, I mean, the return of Grant Ament, what do you have? 4 assists on the day. Pretty solid return for GA16. I think that, the more that he plays, the more he's just going to keep racking up those points. So we've got Atlas coming off, a little bit tail tucked between their legs, and Archers coming in hot. How you feeling about this one to start off the weekend?
It'll be interesting to see if Trevor is activated again. Look, I've kind of said it. I think that he's MVP. I think the Atlas are really good. I think that their midfielders have to step up a little bit more. I mean, they played in one of the best. I said they played in one of the best regular season lacrosse games I've ever watched in my life. If you were going to sell someone on the PLL, you show them that Atlas Redwoods game. That's how good of a game it was. But look, I'm kind of very much liking. I'd say if I had to pick 2 teams right now to win it all, I'm picking the Water Dogs or the Archers. I think the Water Dogs are the most complete team, but I'll get to that later. But the Archers, I mean, Will Manny's having an MVP performance here. Ament did score a goal last week, he said he felt like it was one of his worst professional games, and they still put up 17 points. So when he gets really going and he feels very comfortable in this offense, how dangerous can they be? So I'm really liking what I'm seeing from the Archers. Matt Moore, in my opinion, is Rookie of the Year. Trey LeClaire picking off of Tom Schreiber is just a dangerous duo. So yeah, especially if Trevor's out of this game and the Archers could equalize the faceoff, or even dominate a little bit against Falp, who is said in this podcast that he's the worst faceoff guy in the world.
No. He said he's the worst lacrosse player.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, guy can take some faceoffs with the best of them, but then you keep the ball on a stick, and his own words, although I think his play backs it up sometimes.
So yeah. Also, I'll say that comment, like, I think about all the time when I see him play, and it makes me crack up because I'm like, he's so good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's Stout versus what's this, Justin Inacio. So yeah, I kind of like the Archers in this one. So I'm gonna take Archers -1.5.
Yeah, I mean, so the first time that these two
Screw
teams
that,
played,
Archers money line. Archers money line. I hate playing with the spreads anymore. I look like an idiot.
all right. Yeah, I mean, the first time that these two teams played against each other, I mean, the Atlas came out 10-9 in week 4, but again, that was before Grant Ament was involved. So, you know, we'll see how much of an impact he makes on this one. Again, like I do think, like, I mean, it's that 2-bomb against Kincannon, right? I mean, the Redwoods put up 3. Granted, one of the Redwoods 2-pointers last weekend was while Kincannon was still trying to run back into the net after, you know, chasing down a ball that went out of bounds. But I don't know. I guess I'm trying to think about, like, right now, like, how the Archers are going to be scoring, like, most of their points. Like, I think that this one will be pretty tight. And I don't really see the Atlas as a team that loses 2 in a row. But I don't really have a feel one, like I'd call this one a pick 'em in my opinion, but I do love the over at 24.5. I think that both of these offenses are really going to be flying around down there.
I'll take that with you. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like also, like, probably like Jerry World has like some turf that's a little boosted.
Fast turf.
Just
fast turf.
fast turf. So I can see this one being a nice little just back and forth all day, and whoever scores the last goal ends up winning. So I'm not going to choose a team, but I do love the over in that one. At 4:30 on ESPN Plus. So heading over to the Barstool Sportsbook, you can get the Whip Snakes. Do the Whips. They're 5-1 on the year. They still, like, haven't had a signature game yet. I feel like this year, where it's like that team is just so much better than everyone else, but they just keep showing up every week and they just keep winning. And they've proven why they're the premier team in the Premier Lacrosse League. So we've got the Whip Snakes taking on the Chrome. Whip Snakes on the spread, favored at -1.5. On the money line, we've got Chrome plus 100. Same thing as the last game. Yeah. Chrome plus 100. Whip Snakes -127. Over under on this one set at 23.5. I mean, listen, the Whip Snakes are without a doubt the most dominant team in the league, but they hate covering. They despise covering. They'd rather jump off a bridge before they cover. So before we even get into this one, like, I am going to say Chrome plus 1.5, little 1-goal game here. But I mean, the Whips right now, here's the thing. They're clinched already. Are they not?
They're pretty much like, I saw
a graphic put out by the PLL social that they're clinched.
So here's what I'll say. I don't know. I didn't see the tweet, but I was going to the PLL like playoff predictor, and it said that Whip Snakes have 100% chance of making the playoffs. But then at the bottom, there was like the X for the clinch, and it didn't have the X next to the Whip Snakes. So I don't know if Joe Keegs' math is off, or if the social intern should be fired for not putting the X next to the name.
They should have to battle each other. Joe Keegs versus social intern, Braveheart, to start off the weekend.
In Mike Vrabel's office on Monday. But no, I think so. You're taking Chrome plus 1.5.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe it's not quite the time. Although, no, you know what? Disregard that. I'm out. I totally forgot. Rambo's gonna have to see that Dallas Cowboys star on the field, and he's gonna be making that field his bitch. Yeah. I mean, if there's one place where Matt Rambo truly wants to desecrate, it would be anything to do with Jerry Jones. So yeah. All right. I'm going to change on the fly here. Whips -1.5. So this isn't quite the week. There might come a time
and
where
Rambo points.
Yeah. Oh, Rambo points big time. There's going to come a time where maybe they like kind of hit cruise control a little bit. They're like, all right, like like who knows? Like maybe the Whip Snakes don't want that first bye week and heading into the playoffs. Like maybe there's a point where they hit cruise control and they're like, all right, we're already good. Let's just focus on the playoffs. I don't think that it'll start this week though.
Yes. So my take,
I think Rambo points is a big play this weekend.
My take on the game is that Gutty, a Giants fan, and Rambo will go off. But also, so when I was talking about here's what I'll say about the Chrome is when I was saying rookie of the year, Matt Moore, I think he's the best rookie. Like you could put him at off ball, you could put him dodging up top at X. He's just so versatile. If you're talking about like who's probably going to win rookie of the year, it's probably Brendan Nickturn. I think he's really turned heads, not even being a first round draft pick.
You could say that he turned heads.
That was punny. And, but look, I think that Byrne Lord's had a very big back, like he turned it this year around, I think from especially last year getting pulled in the playoffs. So he's right now like leading the league in percentage and saves or whatever. So I like the under in this one. And then I do like Whips -1.5. I just think that this young Chrome defense, young Chrome attack going against this veteran, Whips, Maryland defense and goaltender, I think that they're going to cause a lot of problems for this young team. So yeah, I like Whips -1.5 and I like the under.
Yeah. Also, I don't think that the Chrome and Whips have played each other. Yeah.
Gutty revenge game too.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. I'm about as sold as I could possibly be now on Whip Snakes -1.5. That was a good chop up session.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. And like I've said before, like, I don't know. I've always, the Chrome are absolutely better than I was expecting them to be this year, but I don't know. I thought that there'd come a time where they kind of started to fall back into place to where they should be. Not at the top of the league. Like I think they fall right in the middle. And that's, we kind of saw that happen, over these past couple weeks, and then dropping that overtime loss to the Water Dogs last weekend. So I think, they start to fall a little bit more, but they're going to be comfortably fine rolling into the playoffs. Like that's not an issue at all. But I just think that the top teams in the league start to separate themselves a little bit. And that'll be the Whip Snakes pulling away with this one. Moving into Sunday. So Sunday at 1 p.m., we've got the Water Dogs taking on the Cannons. Water Dogs, obviously, do they have anybody on their roster from Dallas? Because having the Connecticut kid, Connor Kelly, on the roster certainly helped them in overtime last weekend with that 11-10 overtime dub over the Chrome. We've got Water Dogs taking on the Cannons, the new and we'll see improved Cannons with that roster overhaul. Go on to the Barstool Sportsbook, and we've got Water Dogs favored on the spread -1.5. On the money line, we've got Water Dogs -167, Cannons +130. Over under on this one set at 24.5. Dukes, you've mentioned that you are enamored with this Water Dogs team, just totally smitten by this roster. So you take the floor on this one.
If you heard me and Dan Oresti's conversation in Fairfield about the Water Dogs, I don't think that they're bad really in any area of the game. I think up and down, they're pretty solid. And especially when like Withers is in full health and healthy, like they don't really have a weakness. I think that the first game against the Cannons was a fluke. I think they played way better in the second half of that game. I think that if, it's like kind of like that NCAA championship game when people were like, if you gave Cornell 5 more minutes, like what happens? Like give the Water Dogs 5 more minutes in that game. What happens? So their only losses were really, in my opinion, a fluke loss to the Cannons week 1. And then they had that 1-goal loss to the Whip Snakes. So I think that, the second half of the year, I wouldn't be surprised if the Water Dogs ended up with the 1 seed. Completely enamored with them. I think that this is an easy win. I will say that someone tweeted at me, is the Water Dogs better without Michael Sowers? I wouldn't say that. I won't go back on that take. I retweeted it because it was funny because when he went out of the game, they won. But he had a first half hat trick, so like can't really say shit about that. But yeah, I think that the Water Dogs are really, really good. I think that the Cannons are really, really bad. And if the Water Dogs lose this game, I will look like an idiot once again.
Yeah, I will say I think we're starting to see. So obviously, beginning of the season, Lyle and Asher Nolting turned out to be a really solid combo together. Now that you also give Lyle a Jonathan Donville to work with, like I think that's now another really good combination for this Cannons team to really, just give the ball to Lyle, like, and just let him work with the guys that he wants to work with. And then everybody else just like do like somewhat what your job is. Like, just don't completely fuck up. As long as you just keep giving the ball to Lyle, let Lyle do his thing. Everybody else doesn't fuck up. Like, you can be in a spot, you'll be in positions where you can win games.
Mm-hmm.
So like that would just be the only thing in this game that really makes me think that the Cannons would have a chance. Yeah, I mean, they do have that. Maybe, they're probably feeling pretty down on themselves. They're 1-5, but now they get to play against a team that they've already beat before, the only team that they've beat so far this season. So maybe that's a little confidence boost for the rest of the squad heading into this one. Keep giving Lyle the ball, like force him the ball, make sure that he has the ball on his stick for, what are games? 48 minutes. He should have the ball on his stick for 27 of those minutes. So I don't know. Like, I think that they can keep this one close, and I think that there can be a lot of goals in this game. So I do, again, I like the over in this one. I don't know. Is it going to be enough? Like, I'd probably go Water Dogs on the money line, but it's minus 167. So whatever. But I like the over in this one. I like the Cannons to keep it close, but I still don't think that they get a win.
Yeah. I think Dogs by 1 million. The Dogs are back. And I also just think that like the Cannons also now
I think Dogs by it probably like 3. Like, there's going to be a time where like Cannons are like right there towards the end, but just can't get it done. And then Water Dogs just finally pull away and put that final dagger in. Dogs by 3.
The Dogs also like the Dogs. I forgot what I was going to say, but are the Cannons having to come back with like having to like fill in those new offensive guys and just like getting like those pieces together again because they dropped a couple of pieces. I don't know how much that's really going to change their offense or their flow. Could not do anything. Might make it better. Might make it worse. So really, it's hearsay. But I'm going to bet on the Dogs and the Cannons offense just like having to like just mesh again.
Yeah. One last thing I want to say. Ryan Drenner was about 1.5 inches from having the nastiest shot in lacrosse history last weekend. That backhand snipe was like just a little bit too low to be perfectly framed by that corner. But the script, like the still shot, if that ball was 1.5 inches higher, just perfectly placed right under the crossbar in that pipe with the backhand, that would be, I mean, we're talking just an all-time shot in lacrosse history.
We also talked about like almost cool goals. That was really hard to say. Almost
it's a tough
cool,
one to say.
Yeah, almost cool goals are way cooler than cool goals.
It's a wild take.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like the ones,
because then you can use your imagination on like how much sicker it would have looked had it happened like that.
Mac O'Keefe's goal was so sick.
Like
the low to high double pipe, and it's like it's coming and you still can't stop it.
No, I mean, that kid loads up, low to high, just get the boys running out for the next face off. But yeah, I mean, Water Dogs in that one, but I think a lot of goals should be scored. And then Redwoods taking on the Chaos to close out the weekend on the Barstool Sportsbook. We've got Redwoods on the spread -1.5, but both of these teams -113 on the money line. And then the over under set at 23.5. Last time that these two teams played, they were both winless at the time. And then the Redwoods Redwoods won that game 11-7. Redwoods also coming off of a big time win over the Atlas last week. I don't know, like, again, like Redwoods, I feel like I'm just going to always be back and forth on the Redwoods depending on how their previous week went. So it's like the Redwoods are either terrible or they're a team that will be playing in Philly for the championship. Like last week, they kind of look like a team that should be playing for a championship.
Also, I think, no, but like I think TD had an awesome game. I mean, I know it wasn't going against Trevor, but I think TD is going to find his footing for the rest of the year. I think the Woods are hungry. I think that they feel disrespected a little bit around here. Like by around here, I mean like lacrosse Twitter. I don't think anybody in the league really disrespects them, but I think that a lot of like, I don't even want to call it like lacrosse for Twitter media because we're such losers, but like a lot of people on lacrosse Twitter like doubting the Redwoods. I like the under in this one. Look, I'm a huge Jack Kelly guy. I think that when he's on his game, like it's kind of like that Herb Brooks. It's kind of that Herb Brooks thing. It's like he couldn't even start. He's like, have you seen him on his game? Like when he's on, he's on. I like the under. I think you got like two of the best goalies in the world in this one, and I don't even want to fucking pick a side of this game because I have no idea. This is like two rock. This is going to be like a rock fight, in my opinion. Like two teams that feel like this is like a must win for both sides. I don't know, it's not a must win for the Woods because they're probably going to be in the playoffs. But
how sad is that 2-4? It's like, all right, yeah, like you're good, you're a lock.
They want to like the Woods want to like jump into like they want to go on like they want to start going on a roll. Like they don't want to like just like
limp their way into the
like
playoffs.
They want to be like a top 3 seed in the playoffs. Like they want to be like end the season like 4-1 streak or something. So that's what I'm saying. It's almost like a must win in their head.
Yeah, I think that the under is a great play. I think that the under is a really great play in this one.
Can I bet on a good time?
Yeah, a great time had by all. 3:30 p.m. on ESPN Plus. It's going to be just a great show for everybody. And again, it's like both of these teams right now. I mean, so they're a combined like 3-9.
Yeah,
both teams are so good. Like, or at least have the ability to be so good. So like it's going to be a really good lacrosse game, and they're a combined 3-9.
3 teams have been to the PLL championship in history. The 3-9 team, like the Redwoods, the Chaos, and the Whipsnakes. It's hilarious to think about.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I really do. I love that underplay because again, I feel like I mentioned it a few times now, but it's like Redwoods can really get themselves rolling when they get the 2-bomb going. Good luck getting those ones past Blaze.
Yeah. A hungry Blaze now too.
Yeah. A hungry Blaze. And like, we'll see. I mean, like heads have to start rolling in that Chaos locker room. Like, I know that like, this is kind of their MO, right?
I think
it's what they do best. It's like, all right, like we might suck in the regular season, but we got to do just enough to get into the playoffs. And then once we're in the playoffs, we're winners. We'll figure out a way to get there from there. But like, I don't know, you can only rely on that so much before guys like really start like freaking out either in a good way or a bad way. Like you can like freak out and like the wheels could come off of this thing and it could be a total disaster, or you could like start freaking out and like someone's just going to completely take over a game. Like we could see like a Josh Byrne like 5-2 game.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
we could see Dane Smith have like a nice little like 4-goal game.
I think this might come across as a hot take, so everyone bear with me because it might not. Like I don't. All right, hot take time. I think that they might have the best midfielder and the best attackman, like when they're on in the world. Like I think Dane Smith last year when he was rolling in the playoffs, like it was like who's a better attackman than him right now.
Yeah, like because who's going to stop him?
Because you look at him, it's not crazy take because he's the best. He's the NLL MVP. But then when you like condense the field that the PLL does, it just strengthens his game. This is only like his 3rd year playing on grass. And he's like a monster. He's so tall. He's like 6'3", 6'4". Like he's a monster. And then Josh Byrne is like a monster at attack. Does those like crazy goals, the way he uses his body, the way he just uses finesse skills. So like when this offense is clicking, like I think that like Josh Byrne is almost like a combo of Zed and Rambo. Like I think he's severely underrated. Like, and that's like he's a PLL All-Star, and I think he's severely underrated.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. Like, I feel like
who would you like if you were taking take one attackman last playoff run? I mean, obviously, like it's like easy to say in retrospect because they won the championship. But like Josh Byrne, I thought was the best player in the field every single game.
right. No, I think like you ask a lot of people like who's like the like name some of the best players in the league. Like obviously people who like are watching lacrosse like pretty like you can't just like ask like your buddy. They're gonna say I don't know, like Paul Rabel.
Yeah, exactly.
Which by the way, he just put out something on Instagram about potentially coming back out of retirement. Paul, please, for the love of God, just stay retired. It might have just been a joke, but I saw Dan Aresti had tweeted out.
It's not.
Please stay retired.
He's gonna go to the Water Dogs, by the way.
But either way, like you talk to people, and it's like I feel like Josh Byrne would be like that overlooked, like forgotten name, and
Connor
then like
Kelly.
and then some, kind of similar to Connor Kelly. I'd say probably better than Connor Kelly.
For sure.
But it's like one of those ones where it's like, like they say their names of like who they think the best players in the league are. And then you say, what about Josh Byrne? And they're like, yeah, shit. No, yeah, definitely Josh. So it's like, it's one that everyone knows is like, he's like sick and like top tier in this league, but like you just like for some reason forget about every once in a while. So I think I'd go ahead and say that your take is pretty based in reality on that one. I mean, again, like if these guys get themselves going, they're a championship caliber team. Like that's what pisses me off the most about them. Is like no one's doubting them. It's just that they're not giving us reason to believe in them. They can do that this week at 3:30 p.m. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the chaos. I'm gonna just flop it right down on the table here. I'll take
the chaos. I'm with you.
Yeah, let's ride with the chaos. And then here's another thing too.
Let's ride for chaos.
Hey, Chaos Nation. Let's ride.
Let's ride.
Let's ride. But the good thing about this is we can now run this tape back. So let's say that the Chaos lose this game. Let's say that they limp their way into the playoffs though, because the Cannons just lose their way out of it. We can now have this on record being like, no, like we were riding with you guys in week 8, which by the way, real quick, as a side note here, I hate that this is week 8, but it's the 7th week of games. Don't count the All-Star game as a week because that's going to throw me off. But we have this now on record being like, hey, we were riding with the Chaos. You guys were 1-5 and we were riding with you in week 8. So that just kind of covers all of our bases on that one.
No, I agree. I think it's also like a great weekend, just all good, like tight games, I think, besides the Water Dogs by a million.
All right. Water Dogs. Let's ride.
That's all. But my only take about the Water Dogs, Paul Rabel's going to go play for the Water Dogs next year, and then just like asked to be on. No, never mind.
Man, I hate
the league.
Yeah, big fans of the league. All right, well, that'll do it for this week's slate of games. Make sure that you guys are following us on social. We are at the Crease Die, both on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure that you guys are subscribed to the YouTube channel. If you aren't already, I have no idea what you're doing, but tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies, tell everybody. Enjoy your weekend. And in the meantime, we'll be keeping it low to high until the day we die. We out.